So that's what MODOK is going to look like in the MCU?
Bruh.
Oof. That is a major oof alert. So the MCU has obviously been struggling, particularly since the beginning of phase number 4. I mean, both commercially and critically, the movies are just simply not doing as well. Even if there are certain films that you might like, there's a universal agreement in the fan base that the step down for phase 4 has been quite noticeable. We know that it seems like it is going to be ending on possibly a high note with an amazing Black Panther 2 trailer that was dropped at San Diego Comic-Con, and that got everybody super duper excited. We also know what will be kicking off phase number 5, and that is of course going to be Ant-Man 3 or Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Mania. Now that too did receive a trailer at San Diego Comic-Con. However, that was a trailer that was exclusively viewable by the people at San Diego Comic-Con itself. We found out all the details by people that were actually in the crowd who described what had occurred in the trailer. But of course, the biggest news story since that point in time and today is the fact that we now have an actual art for MODOK. And this is it. By the way, follow me on Twitter. I had actually tweeted out the image as soon as this surfaced. So, as you can see, I tweeted the following. So we got our first look at MODOK in the Ant-Man 3 movie. Honestly, not sure what I think. Now, if you're like me, you possibly got a little bit bamboozled here. Also, just a quick little shout out here. Destroyer Defender, James, Flashfire. Thank you guys so much for interacting with the content. I do appreciate you. Thank you for watching as well. I want to go on ahead and mention something because if you're like me, you kind of got bamboozled by this reveal. And what do I mean by that? Well, essentially, when we saw this particular reveal, a lot of people like myself went ahead and assumed that this is exactly what he looks like. In fact, it looks like an official poster. However, this is actually an artist rendition based on the person that was sitting there watching the trailer itself. So this is about as authentic of a recreation as you could possibly get, unless if it's one of those like terrible sketch artists.
Now this just in, police officers in Lancaster, Pennsylvania were asking people to be on the lookout for a man who robbed a store. And I think we do have his description. Can we take that? Let's take his description.
Bruh.
Like, you know, when somebody commits like a crime and they do like the sketch artist type thing, this is pretty much the equivalent of that, except this is obviously done by an incredibly talented artist because this looks freaking awesome in terms of like the actual quality of the drawing. Now, the design, on the other hand, has been very divisive to say the least, because personally for me, I like aspects of this design. Like, I think the helmet is actually not really that bothersome to me. It's definitely interesting that they're going fully robotic with this thing and not really trying to pay the homage to the original MODOK, who obviously, if you don't know, like for example in Marvel's Avengers, he's still got his human form. It's just that his brain grows to such a size where the rest of his body seems minuscule by comparison, and his brain is so overwhelmingly consuming all the energy in his body that it causes his entire body to shrink. There's something almost like Universal Monsters to it. There's almost like the Hunchback of Notre Dame sort of vibe to MODOK. And unfortunately, this looks like will be kind of completely scrapped with this particular redesign. One of the other things that was pointed out to me with this design is that it actually looks like an Iron Man cockroach. And I gotta be honest, I can't unsee it now. So if you're that person, darn it, bro, you ruined this design for me, because it really does look like a cockroach if it was an Iron Man suit as well. Let me know what you guys think of the design down in the comment section below. However, let's also go on ahead and add a little bit of context to this design by taking a look at what actually happened in that trailer that was shown at San Diego Comic-Con. So here we go. Here's the entire breakdown of everything that people actually saw with their eyeballs while sitting at San Diego Comic-Con in Hall H. It goes as follows. Catching up with Scott Lang, Paul Rudd to start, the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania footage began in the City Lights bookstore, where we discover what Ant-Man has been up to since we last saw him in Avengers Endgame. He's been writing a book. The tome is titled Look Out for the Little Guy. Get it? Because he's Ant-Man. And he is shown confidently reading a passage to an enraptured crowd, which includes a beaming little kid dressed in Ant-Man cosplay. He explains that he is still on call if the Avengers need him, but that his main priority in life is taking care of his daughter, Cassie. As he finishes the chapter and the crowd applauds, Scott's phone ring and the caller ID tells him that it's the SFPD, aka the San Francisco Police Department, leading him to remark aloud, "Why is Jail calling?" It turns out that the reason Jail is calling is because Cassie, Catherine Newton, has been arrested. So seems like a little bit of an element of like father, like daughter, just like he was obviously in a whole bunch of mixed up situations in the first Ant-Man movie when we first meet him in the MCU. It seems like Cassie's kind of following in his footsteps, for better or for worse. And Scott goes to the police station to pick her up. Back at home, the father and daughter sit with Hope Van Dyne, Evangeline Lilly, Hank Pym, Michael Douglas, and Janet Van Dyne, Michelle Pfeiffer. And from the context, it seems that Cassie has been trying out some vigilante action with some friends. Interesting. I wonder who those friends might end up being. Could it be some of the other Avengers, young Avengers, that is? Scott explains that he knows that she is just trying to help. And when Cassie says that she's trying to do something that matters, her dad reminds her that he literally saved the world. This comment receives fake shock from everyone else, who sarcastically note that he has never mentioned that fact before, and Janet tells him that he should write a book about it. Shrugging it off, the Avenger retorts, "You're all welcome for all not being dust." From there, we begin to get some of the more interesting elements, and that's the story itself. So we begin to hear a narration from, of course, Jonathan Majors, who at this point in time, we only know it as He Who Remains. But of course, we'll find out that that is indeed Kang the Conqueror. The antagonist begins talking about Scott being a fascinating man, but not having a proper concept of time. So obviously, it looks like they will continue to play with the concept of time because this is involving Kang the Conqueror himself. It doesn't unfold in a straight line. This dialogue is played as the heroes stand in a lab around some kind of a device, which unexpectedly turns on. So let's be honest, if this is the rat again that presses this device, that would actually be pretty freaking hilarious. As it powers up, it emits a bright blue light that sends out an energy wave, and Cassie gets sucked inside of it. As Scott Lang panics and tries to grab her, he too is pulled inside the light, and as you probably could have guessed, all of the heroes, including Janet, Hank, and Hope, get sucked into the quantum realm. In a montage footage after that, we finally get to actually see the mysterious alternate dimension that was teased in both Ant-Man and the Ant-Man and the Wasp films, including a wide variety of strange aliens, crazy environments, and none other than Bill Murray dressed in blue. This is probably going to be kind of similar to that Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness sequence where they're shattering through those different dimensions, traveling with America Chavez and Doctor Strange. I think that that was one of the coolest visual elements of that film and the MCU as a whole. And so I'm hopeful that this will feel very similar to that in terms of a lot of vibrant colors and just something that feels very, very vibrant and alive. Murray's mysterious character is shown being particularly elated to see Janet Van Dyne. Interesting. I wonder why. Who fans will remember spent decades trapped in the quantum realm. So maybe they had some sort of a relationship before this. Before being rescued in the previous film of this series. Also very briefly featured is none other than MODOK, whose appearance in the film was confirmed following the footage being played. Now, that is, of course, pretty freaking awesome because it actually lands a lot of credence to the fact that this art is real, because we know that the people that were there did get to see, even briefly, but they did get to see MODOK, because that's the thing that's been kind of controversial around this art piece of MODOK, is that some people are saying it's a complete fan art, it's fake. And they're not necessarily wrong that it is a complete fan art, but it's not a made up fan art where somebody's like, oh, well, this is what I think the MCU will do. No, this is fan art that is actually based on what people saw in Hall H. So this is not like a made up fan art. This is something that they saw and then tried to recreate to the best of their ability using their incredible talent. And the trailer concludes with a little bit more of a voiceover from Kang as he explains that he knows everything about Scott's life and how it ends. And at the very end of the Quantumania clip, the hero meets with Kang face to face, which means they actually did get to see Kang as well, which is super duper exciting. And the confident hero explains, I don't know who you are, but you've made a very big mistake. I am an Avenger. To this, Kang, walking out of the shadows and on screen for the very first time, replies with, You're an Avenger? I've killed you before. Bam! What an absolutely mic drop of a moment. Massive spoiler alert for this next section for this video. If you do not want to be spoiled on anything else for Quantumania, just leave your opinion in the comment section below on MODOK. Do you like the design? Do you dislike it? Do you think that contextually within the story that design would work well? Let me know down in the comment section below, keeping in mind that it seems like MODOK will definitely be a creature that is actually introduced within the quantum realm itself. Now, beyond that, if you're sticking around, buckle in because things are about to get wild. So here we go. The next thing I want to talk about are the leaks. So this is from Daniel RPK, who goes on ahead and drops and breaks a lot of stories and leaks for different Marvel projects, for different superhero projects in general. And this is some of the information that we got from the Quantumania reveals. Now, based on the footage that was shown at SDCC and what we know about the movie at this point, as far as like factually to be true, it does certainly seem like a lot of this plot could possibly go on ahead and make sense in the context of what we already know to be true. And it's also going to go on ahead and give us a lot more to think about whether or not this MODOK design is cool. So here we go. In a flashback, we see Janet meet Kang inside the QR. That is the quantum realm, of course. During the year she was trapped there, which is pretty interesting. So it means that obviously Janet has had an encounter with Kang before, which is super duper interesting because that is something that we did not know at this point in time. And she senses that he's a threat. In present day, she senses him again and calls the whole Ant family into the quantum realm. Kang wants to take over the center of time, so he invades the quantum realm. They explore together to see what's going on. Now, pause. It does seem like this probably has been reworked, at least to a certain extent. We know that obviously the footage that was shown at San Diego Comic-Con did show all of them standing around some sort of a device, and we see that it activates, or maybe Cassie is the one that actually activates it, and then we see all of them sucked into the quantum realm itself. It'll be interesting to see the context as to why they're in that room and whether or not it is Janet that alerts them to this threat, saying that there's something wrong in the quantum realm and that they need to go through and fix it, that she has some concerns about it, whatever it might be. Maybe we see some hesitation from Scott. Maybe we see some hesitation from Hope. Maybe we see some hesitation from Hank Pym as well. But then Cassie's the one that kind of is, gung-ho, and so she just goes for it. And then the rest of them have to go through into the quantum realm as well. Kang wants to take over the center of time, so he invades the quantum realm, as I mentioned. They explore together to see what's going on. They go to the quantum kingdom, where Janet used to live. The king, Krylar, and Janet had a thing. So Krylar is, of course, Bill Murray's character. So again, this gives some credence as to why Bill Murray recognizes her while she was stuck there. And he still has feelings for her. So things are going to be quite controversial. There might be a little love triangle thing going on there as well. Now, Krylar at the same time is actually trying to assemble an army to fight off Kang. And the cool detail that we find out is that apparently MODOK will be second in command to Kang. So he's almost like a general in his army, which is pretty neat. And he apparently will be voiced by Corey Stoll. And he's still trying to get revenge against Scott and Pym. So obviously this is going to be, I guess, some sort of like a soul re-uploading or something into some sort of like a robot or something like that. Now, while all of that is unfolding, the Pyms are actually trying to turn MODOK to the good side so that MODOK helps them trap Kang inside the quantum realm. Then MODOK does turn on the heroes instead and gets them stuck inside the quantum realm along with Kang while he manages to actually escape. The end. This is from a test screening, so keep in mind some things might change and they weren't shown the post-credits scene. So this is all insane. The reason why I say that is because honestly, this seems like there's going to be, first of all, kind of a depressing ending to this movie because it sounds like MODOK will succeed in being able to not just go on ahead and escape the quantum realm, but escape his master in a certain sense in Kang, because obviously it looks like he will be operating almost as like second in command for Kang. And most importantly, he accomplishes what he wants most, which is revenge against the Pims. So he's able to go on ahead and hit 2 birds with 1 stone by getting rid of Kang, getting rid of the Pims, and trapping them all within the quantum realm while he himself gets to actually escape. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Guys, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out. See you laters. Alligators. Bye, guys.
Pretty cool that I'm alive and have better days. I could walk, see, hear, I should celebrate. Think I could change my mind, maybe elevate. Living life